Hey guys, today we have two definitions of the word God. Is it a proper noun or not? Christians will say that the word is a proper noun, but are they right? Google defines the word the creator, the ruler of the universe and source of all morality, the supreme being. Google also defines the word with caps G. But however, when you look at the first definition, you can see that the word is still a title word, not a name. Grammar book, link in the description below, states, capitalize title words when they are used before names, unless the title is followed by a comma. Do not capitalize the title if it is used after a name or instead of a name. So, if it is grammar rule not to capitalize title words like God if it is used after a name or instead of a name without being followed up by a proper noun, then why is it that Google tends to use this title word with the caps G without following it up with a proper noun? And when Google gives this definition, the creator and ruler of the universe and source of all morality, the supreme being, which god are they talking about? Thor, Zeus, Ra, Krishna, the Roman god, Bacchus? Which god? Okay, we understand that this definition is horrendous, but let's look into whether these gods can be debunked before looking at the next definition. Can you debunk the claim whether God exists? The answer is an astounding yes. Here is exactly how. Pretty much every holy book claims to be 100% specific. Excuse me if I butchered that. However, you should take this with a grain of salt. The holy book, not me. 9 times out of 10, when something claims to be specific to 100%, it normally comes out to be false. Case in purpose, the Bible claims that there was a worldwide flood. However, we know archaeologically and geographically this is not true. We know that the Bible gets its flood myth from a long line of flood myths. This is also noted that the crucifixion of Jesus Christ possibly never even happened. I know I'm going to butcher this, but Stephan Kareus, after realizing something was wrong, I checked to see the earliest images of Jesus Christ being crucified, but there are none. Okay, we have seen millions of such paintings, but there are none for 100 years after his death. It is not until the 5th century that scenes of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ began to appear, and this is the first. The website where I got this information goes on, stating, the earliest known notion of Jesus Christ dying was depicted in the 5th century CE, at least 400 years after the alleged killing of Christ. Not to mention the death of Christ was also incapable of happening. I added the ending part myself, but however, they are correct. This video below by the History Channel describes how nailing the hands directly through the palms is an impossible way to perform crucifixion. Not to mention, Jesus would not have been crucified anyhow had he existed. He would have been killed through a theatrical death had he been real.
Barbet's 1930s experiments in which he crucifies human corpses.
One of the good things he did was to use real corpses for these crucifixion experiments, because the biomechanics of a crucifixion is quite interesting. It all depends very much on the angle in which you secure the limbs and all the body parts, because this will determine how much physical stress is going to be on either on the bones or on the connective tissue.
Barbet's experiments include driving nails through amputated hands. He determines that a hand can support about 88 pounds of pulling force before the nail tears out. More recent research shows that weight is even less.
The maximum stress that you can have on the tissue and on the bones is maybe between 40 and 60 pounds, probably. This may cause the tissue already to rip or the bones to break, so that the whole system of crucifixion won't work anymore.
So if a nailed hand can only support about 40 to 60 pounds, can nails alone be used to secure a person to a cross? Dr. Benecke has devised a system to measure exactly how body weight is distributed to the hands during crucifixion. He creates a steel structure rigged with chains to mimic the arms. A small frame is loaded with weights to represent the body. 2 scales measure the pull of the body on each hand. A red zone on each scale represents the weight range in which the nail will tear through the hand. He begins adding the 22-pound weights.
There we go, now we're in the red zone already.
At just 44 pounds, the needle is already in the danger zone, the point at which nails will rip through the flesh.
Now that's a lot of weight now on. This is 50 kilograms now, so beyond 100 pounds. We are getting closer to the weight of a real person.
You might expect the weight to be evenly split between the 2 scales, with each supporting only half the load. But when the pull is exerted at an angle, that's clearly not the case. Surprisingly, 50 kilograms of weight puts a 50-kilogram load on each scale. This experiment shows that in a crucifixion, with the arms in the outstretched position, each hand bears the entire weight of the body, the weight of a...
Well, of course, you see, the Bible is actually very specific, in particular about how the book of Revelations is supposed to play out. And this is where we can sit back and we can say, well, of course, you know, there's parts of this book that show that this book is not real at all. The book talks in particular about certain events happening at specific times, including the Antichrist coming to power first, and then, of course, you know, him ruling for like 3.5 years, and a fallen star, you know, named Wormwood falling out of the sky, and then an angel pouring out, you know, blood on all the rivers of the world, and then, of course, this Mark of the Beast thing happening, you know, after all of this, and then, you know, at the very end, Jesus Christ comes back and saves everybody. But, however, we know this is not true because we can verify it with reality. We can check it with science. Now let's look at the second definition. A superhuman being or spirit worshipped as having power over nature or other human beings. A deity. Well, that's funny because now I can say pretty much that anything is God, even aliens. This definition basically commits the argument from ignorance fallacy. In conclusion, God is basically a title word that does not deserve to be capitalized, as it is not a proper noun. The Bible even shows this through the Tetragrammaton as its deity being named specifically Yahweh, not God. I know that some people state that it depends on which context you are talking about. However, I am talking about the definitions and whether or not the word should be a proper noun. Reality is, however, I think that the second definition is also very repulsive, as it could apply to a wide variety of different things, including our very own descendants, if they could travel through time. Basically, it's saying that, you know, even if our descendants were able to travel through time, and our descendants were, you know, whatever, they were able to show themselves to us, we would think that they were gods. That's what we would think. Christians would not know the difference at all, either between an alien or our descendants or God or basically the whole fucking 9 yards. This is just ridiculous. I've gone on and thought of this, before. Had, of course, some alien race had come about and stated, well, tried to take over our planet and, learned everything that we know and went and decided to, like I said, gain control over our planet and use the religions as a methods to gain control of our planet. People who are religious would not know the difference of this not being their God and, it being something else. It's possible that it could be something that controls cellular or atomic level things, and we just wouldn't, people wouldn't know that, but religious people would think, oh my God, because it could do that, it's their God, but they don't know that it could do that. So I don't know, it fucking pisses me off. There was something else I wanted to state. Of course, I was in the Great Debate community some time back, promoting this video that I'm putting out here. And one of the people who was in there, who was a Christian, stated that, of course, using the word God, which may or may not apply to Yahweh for our knowledge, is actually a mortal sin. Now, I've been raised when I was a Christian to believe that, of course it's a mortal sin. But here is the deal. Why would a God care about you using a word in a manner that is seen as incorrect to it? And why would it be incorrect to use it as saying, oh, fuck God? Period. That's the period point blank thing. I say, God damn it, all the fucking time. And I don't feel any repercussions from it. And I know a lot of other people don't feel repercussions from it. But of course, why would you worship something that is so narcissistic that it has to care about what somebody says about a title word that may or may not apply to it? Why would you worship something that, because you used a specific title word that possibly does not apply to it, because if it did exist, there would be no difference between us and it, period, send you to hell? Yes, that's right. Send you to a place of damnation because you used a title word that does not necessarily apply to it for whatever reason. No, I'm serious. Fuck that God. I am not worshiping a piece of shit like that. If anybody is saying to me, oh, you should go worship him, oh, it's a mortal sin to say this, you can go fuck yourself. Period. That's all I gotta say.